Um, yeah, I don't know how to start this in any real meaningful way. Because one of my New Year goals was to have a neat little channel where I would have video essays and reviews on books I'd read, movies I'd watched, shows I'd watched, games I played, and albums I listened to. So I just thought that'd be cool. That'd be awesome. But I don't know how to begin it, so I just thought she's got to get into it. So that's what I'm doing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just gonna start. And today I'm gonna share my thoughts on 2019 film Joker, directed by Todd Phillips. It's been on my list. It had been on my list for a very long time, and yeah, I'm glad I finally got around to it. It was exceptional. Yeah, it was good. It was good. I probably wouldn't go as far as to call it exceptional, but it was a good film, and I don't think it was necessarily as overrated as a film as my friends on Letterboxd would have me to think. The story follows the life of a stand-up comedian who's trying to make it, and he's got to deal with these issues in his world as he's being beat up on the regular, and he's got this mother who, as we find out later in the film, I actually give spoilers. That's right, spoiler warning. Don't listen to me rant about film before you watch it. Watch it first. Yeah, mother who's a bit nuts, and it's very much the portrait of a downtrodden man. He's been downtrodden by society, he's been ignored, he's just been left pretty much alone. And as I'm sure everyone knows, that's not a good combination of things to have in a person, and that's what this film represents. The thing that I'm going to say is not as much caveat, that's not the right word, but I suppose precursor is how it sits in the DC universe, because I like the DC universe not as much as, I don't know, maybe I like some other collections of films just because I don't really like the Superman movies. I have not seen the James Gunn one yet, so I will watch that at some point. But the most recent thing that they put out since the Dark Knight trilogy that I've really liked was the Batman, and even that, I only really loved the first half of it. I think it dragged a little bit and went on a bit long, but I think DC are getting back on the proverbial track. So, but yeah, as I was saying, where that sits in the DC universe, it's very interesting. It doesn't feel comic booky. Like, if Joker had never existed, like, you wouldn't say that seems very comical. It seems they didn't use any other Batman villains because there's none of that around just yet, right? The only thing that closely kind of anchors it into the comic book world is the eventual mention of Bruce and Thomas Wayne, which even that I wasn't super intrigued with how they did that in the film, but it wasn't. It was a big part of the film, but it wasn't the all-encompassing reason behind what was happening. So yeah, I just thought that was a precursor because it just doesn't feel like a DC film that was going on at the time. It's interesting standalone as well. I think it's probably best they leave it standalone just because there was a little bit of a suggestion that there might be a family connection, but then I think it was disproved that because his mother was nuts and that they weren't actually related. Yes, as I was saying, the downtrodden portrait, there were a couple scenes in this film that I thought really portrayed it well. The first one was the steps, the infamous scene where he's dancing on the steps, and I think, if I recall correctly, that was Joaquin Phoenix improvising. He left, I don't know, probably goes into wherever he pulls his just spectacular performances from, and yeah, he did the steams where he's coming down the steps over the music, and it's just really powerful. It's really, is distressing the word I'm looking for? I think so, like, because he's just come off the back of he's lost his anchor in society, like he's just not right anymore. And I thought it was amazing that you can pull that from some recent actor, but he's a phenomenal actor, and so that's part of the reason it got the acclaim it did. The second scene that I thought, wow, that was interesting, was when he realized his girlfriend wasn't actually his girlfriend. She's more or less a figment of his psyche, and it's been done before and arguably better. It's not a new twist to say, ooh, they were never really there, like Fight Club or I don't think about other ones. I mean, I know which I'm going to compare it to, like Travis Bickle, like, some people say the fame he got afterwards was all in his head because he's done these really disturbed things. And I mean, disturbed. Yeah, it's it's an ambiguous ending. I wouldn't call it heroic, but yeah, it's been done before. The whole they're in the head. Like I said, Fight Club. It's one of my favorite movies. That's got serious twists, and I didn't see it coming just because. Not because I was like, whoa, that was so cool, they did the thing. I just couldn't be bothered to even like begin to look for it, like it might be happening. I was like, alright, whatever, he's got a girlfriend. Then it happened, I was like, that's cool, it's fair enough. It wasn't particularly exciting to me in any way, but I think it added to the fact how broken he was already, which is what I'm going to go on to now, is the fact that I think at face value, it looks like a downward slope, right? He just gets worse and he loses his ankles in his world, like his mother. He loses his chance of a comedy career. Murray, who is his idol, right? But as it just goes on a downward slope, I think near about three-quarters of the way, we realize I don't think it was a downward slope. It's just parts of him being exposed and coming to the light by the society around him, just like pulling it out of him. Like he says it himself, that there isn't nothing wrong with him. It's just him, which I think makes it more distressing because that means there's nothing to be fixed. And as an audience, I think we all like when we can say we can compartmentalize like anything into this is wrong. If I can't fix it, it can go away. And we really want to be able to fix it, right? Because we don't like it. But I don't think that's kind of makes it difficult. There's nothing you can do. This is just a really deranged person who's had a really, I presume they do kind of place a partial blame on his mother abusing him as a child. If not partial blame, then a fair amount of it. It's never really, I suppose, delineated how much of the damage was done as a childhood, but there is a heavy suggestion that his mother abusing him or the partner, that was not really clear to me, had an impact, which, that's logical. But the fact that you think it's a downward slope because that's the way you think it would be, right? For who would go, no, that couldn't become me, or I would see it happening before it. I don't think you would. And I think that's part of the themes going on in Joker, is that there might be something there, but he's obviously very deranged and he's, like, it's absurdity, right? It's absurdity to the extent. But the other thing I think I was going to go over was the joke where I mentioned this on YouTube. There's a joke that he wants to tell on the Murray show, and I won't repeat it, and I won't explain what it is, because, yep. But I don't think it was as impactful as it might have been elsewhere. Purely, I don't use the word edgy because that's not the word at all. It's dark, right? Like, it's dark, and there's nothing even inherently funny about it, unless it's the morbidity of what he's claiming. And I don't know. I think it worked. I think it obviously reinforced his nutter by nature character, but I don't know. It just. I don't think it was impactful as it might have gone out of the way to be, particularly when there were other moments in the film I thought that was really powerful. And that was the next one when he goes on to De Niro's show, De Niro plays Murray, who's his idol and his long idol, and he looks up to him as his father, which, tracks because he doesn't have a father figure in the household. And so I think that was part of what they were going for there. I don't know if it was because I'm the filmmaker, but I thought that was really interesting. But when he goes on and he has, I don't think it's necessarily a monologue because it's not really uninterrupted flow of speech, but it was mostly him talking. And it's just like, it's someone at his wit's end. It was, I know it wasn't scary, but it just had impact. Because then, he doesn't care. He's completely apathetic to anything that happens to his actions now. Like, nothing, doesn't really care, right? And I thought, wow, that was really powerful. And I'm trying to keep as many spoilers out as possible, so I won't go into detail on what happens on the show, but he's just monologuing of not being seen, being the other guy. I think there's something very real about that. And, you know, for someone who I think we could say, well, he's a villain, right? There was, you know, there's a little bit of an anchor of just humanity in him, and that he's the other guy. It's, you know, why are you surprised that you've got a monster when you've treated a person like this, right? And I think that was good. I think that was really good. And I think for me, right, personally, I think a strong ending to a film is really important. Like, it's probably the least strong ending of the trifecta, but that's got an amazing ending. There Will Be Blood, which I'll do a film review for later. And Parasite, right? They both got really strong endings. And obviously it wasn't the end of the film. It was like the last 20 minutes or so, 30 minutes. And I thought it was really good. I thought the scene was just the monologuing, the dialogue. And that's going to put me on to the next thing, which is Joaquin Phoenix's acting. Oh my God. If it was not for him, yes, this movie would be just as bad as they say, the people on Letterboxd say it is. But the acting is phenomenal. Like, I just don't care where someone pulls something like that from. Like, I mean, obviously, like, you know, I think he's a method actor. I'll probably be wrong, but he's brilliant. He's brilliant. Like, just the way these little, like, I don't even want to say ticks. It's just like the attention to detail to the character. Like, he really becomes the character. I thought it was amazing. There was just things like, he's just so little. The way he talks and behaves, it was superb. Yeah, like, I think becoming the character is a very good way of putting it. But yeah, the other thing that I'm going to go on to is a comparison between Taxi Driver, because I consider them to be relatively similar movies, in that they kind of portray a similar thing, in that it's a man who is just trying to get by in the world, almost, but isn't right in the head, right? Oh, well, that was alright. But I like Taxi Driver. It's a 4. It's probably a 4 out of 5 for me. And I do think it's better than Joker. But people say, oh wow, Taxi Driver was so much better than Joker. And I actually don't think it was so much better than Joker. But yeah, I don't think it's bad. But the comparison's right. Yeah, the violence was another one that I think was an interesting comparison. In Taxi Driver, in the end scene where he's just, you know, he's going through and he's killing all these criminals, right? Criminals. I'm not going to go on a limb and call he's doing heroic, because I don't know, there's something, he's not quite right about him, right? So I don't think he's doing it from a standpoint of heroism. I think he thinks he is, but that's for another time, right? I'm not doing a Taxi Driver review. And it's very similar in that when he kills his former employee, about 2/3 the way through the film, it's just brutal. It's just like him just losing it, because he's just been manipulated by this man. And yeah, I could check YouTube guidelines, so I'm not going to go into detail just yet. But yeah, it's violent and it's bloody and it's full on, and it makes the film better. What was the comparison made with Taxi Driver? Complexities. So that's going to be my other gripe I'm going to go into. I do think they missed a lot of the complexities of the, I don't want to say incel persona, but that could be pretty close. I know that a lot of these things get adopted by incels, the incel culture, I believe. But there was just complexity there that I think was a little bit skimmed over, possibly. Like, do I think there are better, portrayals of this downtrodden man and the person who's been manipulated by society? Yes, I do. I haven't seen The King of Comedy, but I will likely very watch it, because I have seen and heard that it's an exceptional film and a better attempt of what Todd Phillips was trying to do. So yeah, I probably would agree that it's been done better and to not necessarily a more engaging extent, but a more fascinating one. Because yeah, like I said, I like Taxi Driver. I think it's an exceptional movie, but I also like Joker. One of the other things I'll go into is color palette. Uh, I don't know. I don't get why people complain about color palette. I'm probably gonna say something egregiously wrong here, but when people say, "Oh, anyone can stick a grimy color palette over a man being used by society, and that's it," I don't get the whole color palette hate thing. Like, sure, if it's that easy, then why don't people say, "Oh, The Godfather, putting a color filter through all the camera things it makes it so easy, so easy." No, I've never heard anyone have that complaint about The Godfather. So I don't know. I'm not a film student, so maybe there's something I'm missing there. But I really like the color palette. I thought the kind of griminess of it made it feel just, I don't know. I don't want to say less comical, but kind of like, I don't know. I think it was good. I like the color palette. It was gritty. It was grimy, and I think it adds to the kind of the visceral feel of the film. But I don't know. I think those are the thoughts that I've had on the film. I don't think there's anything else. And like I said, this is a first video, so there wasn't a lot of planning into what I've said, and so there's a lot of rights and I don't knows and those. But yeah, that's my thoughts on 2019 Joker. I don't think there's anything else that I've had on the film. If I do, I'll probably come back to it and put it in my letterbox, which I will link. Yeah, but cool. I'm over that. Sweet. Yeah, that's my thoughts on 2019 Joker.